This is Valley View News.
And I'm going to work.
We had the winners and losers in some of California's biggest races in the midterm election. Mummy wraps, pumpkin carving, and music were all in show at one of this year's fall festivals. And CSUN's Generation J conference prepares journalism students for the newsroom of the future.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Rachel DeLeon.
And I'm Ryan Fonseca.
Republicans had major gains around the country, even winning the House, but Californians favored the Democrats this election cycle. Jerry Brown beat out Republican Meg Whitman to be California's next governor. Democrat Gavin Newsom leaves his post as mayor of San Francisco to be California's lieutenant governor. And incumbent Democrat Barbara Boxer retains her position as U.S. Senator, beating out Republican Carly Fiorina. The Los Angeles County Democratic Party hosted an official election night rally. Valley View reporter Tata Victoranian has more.
Democratic supporters came together at the Renaissance Hollywood Hotel to celebrate the win of Democratic leaders. Earlier in the evening, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa predicted that the Democrats would take the lead in California.
My expectation is that tonight Jerry Brown will win big, and so will Barbara Boxer, and that most of the Democrats who are currently in a battle will ultimately prevail.
People cheered on as news stations projected Democratic Attorney General Jerry Brown as the winner over Republican challenger Meg Whitman. Incumbent Democratic U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer was the projected winner over Republican candidate Carly Fiorina.
This is my 11th straight election victory.
A group of supporters chanted "Si se puede," which means yes we can. Supporters gathered during the 2010 elections because they believe that Democrats will create better jobs and a stable economy.
I voted for Jerry Brown and Barbara Boxer because I realize that this race means the livelihood of my jobs. And in California, jobs, jobs, jobs.
Speakers took the stage honoring Boxer and her efforts.
And we are returning one of the best, Senator Barbara Boxer. Let's hear it for Barbara!
Although the night ended with only projected winners, Brown was declared the official winner of Governor of California early in the morning. In Los Angeles, I'm Tata Victoranian for Valley View News.
The campaign for governor was expensive. The ex-CEO of eBay, Meg Whitman, spent the most, but still lost to Democrat Jerry Brown. Many Republicans got together on election night in Pasadena, and Valley View's Brittany Silverstein was there.
Supporters came together at the Pasadena Republican headquarters to cheer on their candidates. Some even got the chance to meet Meg Whitman earlier that day when she made a quick stop there.
We all held several roses, and she took them as she walked by. We handed them to her. And she gave many of us a hug, and she kissed me on the cheek.
Republican supporters hoped Whitman would win because they thought Jerry Brown wasn't effective when he was governor nearly 30 years ago.
But I just think it's like a factor of being too old, and he's been around the block so many times that I think that it's time to try something else.
That's the only reason we had Jerry around is because we had a lieutenant governor who's a Republican. Jerry did not do a good job. He made us the laughing stock of the world. I mean, everybody talked about the fact that you got this crazy guy who's governor of California.
People have waited throughout the night to hear the election results. The most recent public opinion poll showed that Jerry Brown would win, but people still came to the Pasadena Republican headquarters to show their support for Meg Whitman. The Republicans watched the race in anticipation, but with tight polls, the winners weren't clear for a while. Democratic candidate Gavin Newsom had the lead in the lieutenant governor's race, and Barbara Boxer retained her U.S. Senate seat for the Democrats over Republican candidate Carly Fiorina. At the end of the night, the group went home not knowing the results, but after looking at the polls, many felt discouraged.
From what we're seeing right now, it doesn't look too good right now, so. Because they've already projected that she's going to lose.
In Pasadena, Brittany Silverstein for Valley View News.
Despite high temperatures, voters in Encino came out to support their favorite candidates and issues. Rachel was there on the scene with voter reaction.
Mothers and sons were some of those who came in support of voters in one voting precinct.
The amount of voters ebbed and flowed throughout the middle of the day at a polling place in Encino. Polling place inspector Courtney Hodgins says she's worked at the primary in presidential polls before, and she's shocked at the voter turnout this year.
I remember the presidential election, it was like a line out the door. There was a line out the door before we were even set up today, and it was pretty consistent for the first 2 hours. Like, we couldn't even catch up with our work.
What I'm holding in my hand right now is a roster of all the names of the people who have registered to vote. How it's used is poll watchers come out and they find the people who don't have a red line through their name, give them a call and tell them to come out and make sure their voice is counted for.
The temperature peaked at 93 degrees in most of the valley, but that didn't seem to faze Encino residents.
I'm just so thrilled. I hope everybody votes. At least they always say you can't complain if you don't vote.
The 28th congressional district consists mostly of Democratic voters, but some wanted to give Republican candidates a chance.
Meg Whitman, is definitely supporting our schools, and I hope that if she wins, that it proves to be true.
I think a lot of the problems that we're seeing in the country right now, the expansion of government, a lot of the foreign policies that you're seeing through the administration, I think they need a big change, and so that's the big reason why.
So you're looking for change with Fiorina?
Mm-hmm.
First-time voter Megan Miller walked out of the polling place with her congratulatory mother taking pictures of her daughter's first electoral contribution. She says she tried to stay clear of negative campaign ads when it came to researching candidates and propositions.
More like social influences of, my family and my friends in school influenced my decision.
In Encino, I'm Rachel DeLeon for Valley View News.
There were 9 propositions on the ballot in California, but the one that created much of the buzz was Prop 19. It would have legalized marijuana. Valley View's Rory O'Sullivan was at a Prop 19 rally in West Hollywood and reports that the ballot measure went up in smoke.
Before the decision was finalized, Proposition 19 voters rallied and waited anxiously for the results. Voters wore shirts that read, "Yes, we cannabis."
How is it okay for these pharmaceutical companies to give 7 or 8-year-olds Adderall and let them be cracked out in the streets and acting crazy, but yet it's not okay for somebody to smoke a joint?
The proposition did have a few restrictions. The sale of marijuana to minors, possession on school grounds, use in public settings, and smoking while minors are present would have been illegal. Opponents of Proposition 19 say the drug is more harmful than most realize.
I used to love being high, okay? So I'm not trying to say, hey, you know what, I didn't enjoy being stoned, but you know what, it didn't increase the quality of my life. It didn't help my productivity. It didn't help me stay in school. It didn't help me do anything that meant something for my future, and it destroyed my life.
Earlier in the year, it seemed that marijuana could have had a chance, but by 10 o'clock, the people voted and made a difference.
And it looks like Prop 19 is going to fail, and by a larger margin than most experts thought, failing at 15 points.
Supporters of Prop 19 say they will continue to fight for the recreational use of marijuana. In Hollywood, I'm Rory O'Sullivan for Valley View News.
The other 8 propositions fared this way. Prop 20 deals with congressional redistricting. It passed. Prop 21 would fund state parks with an $18 vehicle license fee. It was defeated. Prop 22 bans the state from borrowing or taking money used for transportation, redevelopment, or local government services. It passed. Prop 23 would suspend California climate laws. It was defeated. Prop 24 would repeal a ruling allowing businesses to lower their tax liability. It was defeated. Prop 25 would change the vote requirement to pass budget-related legislation from a 2/3 majority to a simple majority. It passed. Prop 26 would require a 2/3 vote for some state and local taxes. It passed. Prop 27 would dissolve the State Redistricting Commission. It was defeated.
Coming up, the constitutionality of an Arizona immigration law goes before a federal appeals court.
And college costs are continuing to climb.